Medicines like these, painkillers, cough medicines, antihistamines, I think, are in there. Even gluten-free food, all available on prescription at the moment. That is about to change.
So, NHS England's announced plans to stop certain items being prescribed by GPs to save more than £100 million a year. And Dr. Hillary's here. So, Hillary, I went through this stuff in the Daily Mail today, amid causing outrage about legs. They've also splashed on this story. Really fascinating here about what many people would perceive to be a lot of waste. £88 million a year is doled out in NHS prescriptions for paracetamol alone, at 20 times the high street cost. So they point out, look, 22 million prescriptions for paracetamol in 2015, mainly for minor ailments like colds and flu, where it's pretty ineffective. I think probably most doctors would agree. Yet, while a box of 16 tablets can be bought for 19 pence in supermarkets, each prescription is costing the taxpayer £3.83. Now,
on top of the consultation costs in the first place.
Right, so I didn't know that until I read it in such stark thing. Absolutely. And I am genuinely like, this is ridiculous.
It is. This is the OTC directory, which is published annually, over-the-counter directory. These are all the things that you can buy over-the-counter without a prescription, OK? And a lot of people will go and waste the doctor's time and say, can you give me a few paracetamol, some cough and cold remedies, some antihistamines, which can be bought over the counter at a fraction of the cost that you can get them on the NHS. So NHS England's campaign to get GPs to stop prescribing in the short term for self-limiting minor conditions is a sensible one, I think.
Why doesn't a GP say to somebody, you can get paracetamol at 19 pence over the counter, but if I prescribe it, it's going to cost the NHS, significantly more than that. Because I'm sure lots of patients would then say, I'll go and get some.
Many do, but many know that they can save a few bob by coming along and, and asking the doctor, putting pressure on the doctor. If you've got say a mother with 3 children and she's not going to leave until she gets her prescription, it's very difficult for the doctor to have that argument every time.
But this is so part of the problem, Hillary, with, I think, our relationship with the NHS. It is one of the great health services in the world. If you don't believe me, go and get injured or sick in somewhere like America and see what happens to you, right? And yet we take it so for granted that we're quite happy to waste as a country £1 billion a year on silly prescriptions for over-the-counter stuff. To me, this is where we have to also, as people, as people using this great service, we have to be accountable and take responsibility.
And we have to use the money wisely. We have to use the money for new drugs which can save lives, cancer drugs, drugs which can prolong life. These are where the money should be spent.
Except that all I'm saying is that I'm not sure in every case that patients realise that the difference in cost from getting the prescription and actually going to get it themselves.
I'm sure.
I bet lots of people who get paracetamol don't realise it's costing the best part of £5.
Absolutely, and there will be people who say we're being discriminated against. People, for example, if you look at gluten-free products, people will say, well, I've got celiac disease. 1 in 100 people have celiac disease. Why are you discriminating against me? You want to take these away from me. However, there is a lot of choice now available that wasn't there 20 years ago when these rules came into being. And you could say there are other people with kidney disease, heart disease, who also have to have special diets, but have to provide it themselves.
Special dispensation.
Are these actually going to be banned now on NHS prescriptions?
They're looking at it. They're discussing it, and I think they do want to put pressure on GPs to stop prescribing it. However, it's part of a longer-term plan to cut down on health tourism. They want to cut down on the use of locum doctors that can be extremely expensive, and on other areas where they need to cut down. They could also look at hospital food, because you could argue that people have to eat anyway just because they're in hospital. Why aren't they providing the cost of their own food?
That's actually a good argument.
So, there are lots of areas where I think if we're going to save the NHS, we do need to have very creative...
God helps those who help themselves, as my mother always said. I think, not that God can do much about this, but I do think we can.
We can. As
a populace, stop sponging off the NHS.
People love the NHS. It does. We should be very proud of it. We're going to preserve it. We have to look after it.
Wasting time and energy and money getting a prescription for 19p pack of paracetamol will be the first moaning about the NHS.
Or sun cream or indigestion remedies.
So I think we need to be more responsible.
I agree.
Good. Well, I think it's a positive thing.
I think so. I think so. It's a step in the right direction.
You got any thoughts?
Yes, I think let's not be too hard on those people who genuinely need as you say, gluten-free foods.
My sister's got the
who
celiac.
have
What's it called?
Celiac.
Celiac. She's got that. There's so much choice now
Absolutely.
to buy.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you buy your own?
And of
Except
course,
that
if you've
some
got
people don't earn that much, and perhaps
and if you've got
need
a
that
chronic
help.
condition like arthritis, you'll get your paracetamol free on prescription. There's no question. But if it's a self-limiting, if it's a
I'm
hangover,
allergic to
if it's a-
marshmallows. Right? I don't want to have
You're
a prescription.
not, are you?
Well, I don't like them, right? And they make me feel slightly sick. Should I get nausea pills off the NHS to cope with my marshmallow nausea?
No,
You're
but
making
if
the
you
point.
have a
Should I?
serious, if you have a
What do you mean?
serious potential anaphylactic allergy,
These are people with
you
a
would
cold.
need- I get
They
that.
want, they want 3-4 quid's worth of paracetamol. They can buy for 19p if they weren't so tight-fisted.
all of these
Stop
things.
wasting doctors'
Sun
time.
cream, travel
Go
vaccines,
down
sun
to the
creams.
chemist, get your own paracetamol, pay your 19p. Be a decent citizen.